So you started your new job, went to a new company, everything's going good. Here's a list of things that aren't going to change. There's a lot of space that has to be filled here. If you're like me, you gotta figure out how to fill up one of these things. So we're gonna go over some of those options and things that you have to do, whether you do it or whether the company does it. There's not gonna be a whole lot of differentiation. So let's go over some of those options and I'll show you how it works. If your new job is hauling a van like your old job, there's a really good possibility that you're gonna be hitting the same customers. Everything you hated about the customer when you drove for the previous company, you're going to hate with this new customer because it's still the same customer. You've just changed the name on your door. He didn't change the name on his door. So that's something to think about. So if you stick with the same type of hauling that you're hauling now, you know, hauling van, and you go to another van company, especially in the same area or not, there's a good chance you're going to be hauling the same things. It's not exclusive. So that's something to think about. If you hated the customer before, that hate's not going to change just because you changed the name on your door. So that's something to think about. As we sit here and go in, one of these things that's not going to change is going to be the equipment and maintenance. Now, you're going to have different equipment for sure because somebody else owns it. But in reality, chances are if you got out of a Freightliner, you're going to go back into one. The bigger companies for sure they buy trucks in bulk, and they buy cheap trucks because they only keep them 300,000 to 400,000 miles. Now, like I said in the last video, if you go to work for a company that has the most beautiful equipment known to man, my experience has been you're not going to get paid as well as you will somewhere else. But I digress on that. When it comes to equipment and maintenance, it's not going to change from company to company. There are things you're going to find, there are things you're going to hate. What you hated at the last company is probably going to happen at this company. And you just have to remember, if you don't own the truck, it's really not up to you, and you just have to deal with it. Just make it known, don't be a pest, and just go about your business. But you're going to have mechanics you like, you're going to have mechanics you hate. It's that way everywhere. You know, and if there are a bunch of mechanics that you hate, if you can avoid them, don't go to them. Even as a company driver, if you have a particular shop you like going to, and a company shop, go there if you can. But you got to play the game, and that right there is not going to change from company to company. You know, the previous company had its quota of douchebags, and your next company will also have its quota of douchebags. So that's just something to remember. The equipment you go to is going to vary from company to company, like I said. But you're going to have to just deal with it. You know, if, like, I haul refrigerated here, I have the same problems here that I had at the last two companies where I haul refrigerated. It's just equipment breaks, things happen. So it's just stuff you have to deal with. And it's no reflection of the company, it's just circumstance. And that was a hard lesson for me to learn. Things I thought was happening at the company wasn't happening at the company, it was just part of the industry. So that's something to be mindful of. Most people quit jobs for one of two reasons. It's either about the pay or it's about management. And you're going to find horrible managers at every job. You're going to find ones you love, ones you hate. And it just all depends on what level in the company they're at. The pay part, that's tricky. I've worked for a lot of companies that claim they pay good, and on the surface they do, But I had one company that if you were late or if you blew a tire or something, it was they called it pro pay. Basically, they were taking a per diem cut out of your pay and charging you for just maintenance that should have been done anyways. You know, when the tire blew, it was so far gone, it should have been changed 6 months prior. So that's something to be mindful of. One thing I've noticed about pay, when you go from job to job, 98% of the time it's a lateral move. Now I'm talking about company drivers, not owner operators. When I went from my last job to this job, the jump in pay was, oh good grief, it was almost 250%, literally, is what I took home at the end of the year. Yeah, it was that much, which tells you how little I was getting paid to the last job. But as a company driver, I noticed when I started driving, I was making 27, 29 cents a mile. And I was bringing home $500-600 a week. Well, the last job as a company driver, I was making 46 cents a mile and bringing home $500-600 a week. So it all looks good on paper. So you have to be very careful and very discerning about what you do. Pay is a big deal. But don't job hop to another job just because it says it pays more. We had a bunch of guys doing that. There was a company that was offering 50 cents a mile, all miles, and it all sounded good. We were making 38 to 40 at the time. So this was a 10 to 12 cent pay raise, but come to find out, these guys, you talk to these guys, they're only getting 900 to 1,200 miles a week. So was it a good move to move? Absolutely not. So do your homework on the pay, but the main reason people leave is pay. But pay and management, I think it's more management than pay. But what I've discovered about pay is it's almost always a lateral move. At the end of the day, it's like you just never make any more. You start off making more, but after 6 months to a year, you realize that your paychecks have just kind of settled in to where they were at the last company, and things haven't gotten any different or better. So that's something to think about. This one's going to be a little bit touchy. This is about dispatch. When you go from job to job, you're going to find dispatchers you love, you're going to find dispatchers you hate. And it's important to figure out a way to settle in to what you're doing. The dispatching is not going to change from job to job. I'm here to tell you that right now. What you hated about dispatch at your last job, you're going to hate about it at this job. Trust me, it's going to happen. That being said, it's important to figure out where you fit in and how to make it work for you, because they represent the company. They're there to make the company money. You're there to make you money. So there's a balance here that you have to find. It's not going to be pleasant at times. You're going to end up doing a lot of things you don't like. I do a lot of things I don't like, probably because I'm grumpy most of the time. And my dispatchers will tell you. The style of dispatching, when you get to the bigger companies, dispatchers quit talking to each other and they rely on emailing each other. They'll email the person sitting right next to them. They won't talk to that person all day. I've seen it happen. It's ignorant. And who ends up suffering? Well, the driver does. So when it gets that convoluted in the dispatch office to where the dispatchers really aren't even dispatching anymore, they're just taking orders from the load planners and becoming crap magnets so the load planners don't get yelled at. The dispatch is the one that ends up getting cursed at, and it's not even their fault in a lot of cases. So dispatch is one of those things that you're going to be dealing with many personalities. You're going to get along with some famously. You're going to get along with ones you hate. But even with the ones you hate, if you want to be successful in this business, you're going to have to figure out how to be professional with them. You don't have to like them, but you have to work with them. And that is something that goes across the board. It comes with the territory, it comes with the business. It doesn't go from company to company. So what you hated about dispatch, you're going to hate at every job. So that's something to be in mind, and it's something you're going to have to learn to deal with, because if you don't learn to deal with dispatch at one job or another, you're just not going to make it. The next thing we're going to talk about is home time. Home time is very important. And there's always a struggle between the job and home, and you know, how much time to take off, how long should you stay at work? You know, there's going to be that struggle no matter which job you're at. You know, you're going to sacrifice one or you're going to sacrifice the other. There is very rarely a happy medium in the bunch. If you stay home, you're not making money. But if you're out making money, you're neglecting things at the house. There's all sorts of things that have to get done. And if you have a family, that makes it tough. Finding that balance is hard. And I'll tell you this, changing a job very rarely helps that balance. Unless it's a very specific job to where you're home, guaranteed at a certain time, and you leave at a certain time. And those jobs do exist. But for regular truck drivers and over the roads, no. Eventually, and I've had jobs where they've said that, and eventually it ends up, you're just back in the same boat. And if you buck the system, your paychecks start going like this and like this and like this. So your home time requirements when you change jobs, they're going to be the same from job to job to job. And eventually you will find resistance. And for about 90% of the jobs, just your home time ends up not changing from one job to the other. You sacrifice a lot to be out here on the road, and you sacrifice a lot to drive these trucks. So that's something that you're really going to have to think about when you change jobs. Unless you have a guarantee and you know the job, or you have a friend that works there and they say, hey, you know, we shut down every Friday and we take off every Monday, you're gone all week, whatever, or you're at a local job, that's awesome. If you can make that happen, I say make that happen. But in reality, doing over the road, being gone, if they want you leave Monday morning and you got to be out in California on Wednesday and you think you're going to be back on Friday, that's tough. I've done it, and that's very tough, because chances are you'll be back Saturday, maybe Sunday morning, and they're going to want you to leave Monday again. So it's a struggle. So as a general rule, your home time requirements from job to job are not going to change, even if you change your job. So it's a lot to take in. So that's just something to keep in mind. So as I end this video, you know, with coffee, there's just a couple things. Everything's going to change, and not a whole lot's going to change. You're going to have to change to fit whatever job you go to. It's just the way it is. Employers don't like job hoppers. They want consistency, and they want people to stay. And truthfully, most of them are trying to create an environment where people stay. Unfortunately, most of them suck at it. But that being said, a lot of what's going to change from job to job is going to have to be on the driver's end. As I've showed 5 things that aren't going to change, these are the main reasons people quit and go to other jobs. They quit for management, personalities, and pay. And it's usually in that order. Pay is usually never the first thing, unless you're just getting completely screwed. I've known a lot of people stay at horrible jobs, horribly paying jobs, because the management was awesome. I've done it. There's been people, some of the best jobs I've ever worked, paid the littlest, but I stayed because they were good people and I enjoyed it. You know, so there's a balance there. And unfortunately, when it comes to being the driver, the balance is all going to be on our end. You know, and you're just going to have to learn how to work with what you have. I'm trying to end this video on a positive note, and I'm trying to find one, honestly. But, you know, do your homework, do your due diligence. keep your heads and wits about you, and you'll be successful in what you do. Because like I said, you don't have to like them, but you got to work with them. And if you learn how to work with people you don't like, it's going to make working with people you like a whole lot better. So I appreciate it. Thanks for watching. I hope this video has been helpful. Please like, share, and subscribe, and we'll catch you all later. Thanks.